the conversation happening about being part of this mass movement. Kind of trying to inject a socialist ideology.
So I was just released from the prison here on 77. At the protest at USC, we were ordered to leave by LAPD from Alumni Park. There was an inner and outer circle of student protesters. I was part of the outer circle. I was one of the first people arrested. We were surrounded by police officers with batons, also aiming guns with the rubber shells at us in a kind of threatening manner, and they told us they were all under arrest. I specified that I was not resisting arrest, and when asked, I complied with all of their instructions. I was brought, so they had around 6 or 7 of us in a van. They brought us all to the prison together. We were outside. As soon as we got out, we were brought into a holding cell to use the bathroom, because me and a few other people had to use the bathroom. After that, they kind of just left us in that holding cell for a while. Eventually, I would say maybe after 30 minutes or so, they came back and started taking people one at a time, taking down demographic information, having us sign some papers, just like confirming the information that they were taking down. They had us give all of our possessions in our pockets, belts. They took the shoelaces off of all of our shoes. All of that, pretty much like everything that they could take, they took it and put it in a bag. Eventually, they brought us to a separate area where they handcuffed us to benches. And we were staying there for a while. They separated the boys and the girls into like opposite sides. And then they brought us into separate holding cells that had phones in them, and we were allowed to have 4 phone calls of 5 minutes each. The directions for the phone call were in Spanish and not English on the wristbands that they gave us, but it didn't really matter because it was pretty obvious what we're supposed to do, and they were willing to explain it to us even though it was in Spanish. And in these holding cells they had maybe like 4 or 5 people with 1 phone each, and we were allowed to, you know, use the phones. I would say we were in there for another couple of hours. I think we initially got to the prison at around 7 o'clock. And we were just let out now. I'm not sure what time it is right now. But yeah, we were in the holding cell for a while. And people kept coming in asking about like whether someone was in a cell. They were trying to go through everything. It was pretty clear they were very disorganized and probably not really ready to handle that amount of people at once. They ended up just fingerprinting everyone, taking mugshots, pictures.
Take your time.
And then they gave us citation slips, and then they let us go and gave us back all of our things. I don't think the police were necessarily doing anything that they weren't supposed to, but they were very, very inefficient, and they were holding us in there for a really long time. I do think they were holding us. The one thing I will say is I think they were holding us in there for longer than was necessary, and I'm not sure if that was necessarily just because they were incredibly inefficient, or if it was an intentional thing, kind of as an intimidation tactic. But yeah, I do think that we didn't need to be in there for that long. But it also did seem like they were pretty busy just with how many people were being detained and arrested. I will like to say that I think that the amount of force displayed by LAPD at the actual protest was incredibly excessive, considering that there was more than 1 police officer for every student protester. The student protesters were all unarmed, peaceful, and not resisting arrest. And the police officers were all being incredibly intimidating with their batons. They were aiming the guns with the rubber bullets at us, despite the fact that everybody was being peaceful. We were all unarmed, and there were more of us than there were more of them than there were of us. But I really will say I don't regret getting arrested, and I think complying with them was the thing that made the most sense, considering that they were threatening to use force on us. And we allowed them to arrest us, we allowed them to detain us and bring us to the jail, and yeah, now we're finally being released after, I don't even know, to me it feels like it was around maybe 4 or 5 hours. But yeah, I'm finally glad to just be able to go home, sleep in my own bed tonight. I do have, finals coming up next week and final projects and stuff I need to work on. I still have not been able to get all of my stuff back. I know that DPS had been apparently seizing a lot of the stuff on campus too. I'm not really sure about the details of everything that was going on or what was happening afterwards. After I was one of the first people arrested as well, so I wasn't really able to see what happened after that, but I'm really hoping that things are going to change and that the university is going to hopefully eventually reverse their stance on this. But again, I've been incredibly disappointed by the willingness of the university to call LAPD to harm and detain students. But I guess that's where we're at right now, and hopefully things will change for the better in the future, but for now, that's where we're at.
That was an attempt. That was an attempt.
Tell me your first and last name, and tell me what you went through.
Brandon Sword. I participated in the encampment at USC today. I am not a USC student, but I was arrested along with a bunch of other folks for not complying with the dispersal order that was given, and I was arrested around 6:30. We just got out of the LA County Jail a little bit ago. I think it's like after 1 or something right now, or close to then. But yeah, I don't know.
Thank you for your time.
Charged with trespassing. I have to appear on the 15th, I think. Although interestingly, it's like this for like arresting officer, it says like Palmer, which I'm told by the USC people I was with is like the head of the USC security. So it's like we were like arrested by USC, not by LAPD. I'm not a lawyer. I don't like really understand how these things work. But some kind of like citizen's arrest or something on behalf of them. But yeah, handcuffs were really tight and that hurt, but otherwise I am unscathed and happy to be here and happy that all these people showed up to support us. So, free Palestine.
Thank you for your time.
Of course, of course.
Are you good? Tell me what your first and last name is and what you went through today.
Yeah, Efafuda. So today I was at the peaceful protest for the divestment of USC tuition and funds to support the genocide in Israel. So essentially what happened is that while we were protesting, the LAPD was called in, and myself and probably 35, 40 other students were taken into the downtown jail. And while I was in the jail, we were handcuffed, and I was I was poked with a knife, and I told the officer he had poked me, and then he continued to use the rusty bolt cutters to remove them, and then it ended up with me getting a pretty deep wound in my wrist. But yeah, so we were in there for about 4 hours, and we were just now they're starting to release everyone. So.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.